There were two massive rock slides this week at El Capitan, the formation in Yosemite National Park that draws hikers and climbers from around the world. One person was killed.
Strange and frightening things happen in Yosemite National Park, especially at Tenaya Canyon, which has earned the area the name. Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite. Slips, trips, falls, unusual events, landslides, rescue helicopters, and deaths are frequent in the so-called Bermuda Yosemite Triangle. A chunk of rock broke off the face of El Capitan on a Thursday afternoon at the park, injuring one person just a day after a massive slab fell from the towering mountain and killed a tourist. Could all of these be linked to the bloody conflict during the Mariposa Indian War in Yosemite from 1850 to 1851? Is it time to reconsider your Yosemite travel plans? Join us as we explore the last warning Yosemite officials gave after something terrible hit the park. The history of Yosemite. Yosemite National Park, located in California's Sierra Nevada mountains, is one of the most famous and beautiful national parks in the United States. Its history dates back thousands of years, with Native American tribes like the Ahwahnechee originally inhabiting the area, calling it Ahwahnee, meaning big mouth due to the valley's appearance. Humans settled and inhabited Yosemite approximately 8,000 years ago, where archaeologists have found evidence of early activities such as grinding seeds on flat stones and hunting with spears and atlatls, as depicted in ancient rock carvings in the Valley of Fire. Over time, the Miwok people became prominent in the Yosemite region, with the southern Miwok residing in most of Yosemite by the late 18th century, while the central Miwok inhabited the northern areas. Later, as other indigenous groups lost their lands, tribes including the Mono Lake Paiute, Western Mono, Chukchansi Yokuts, and coastal California indigenous people also settled in Yosemite. The valley itself was known as Ahwahnee, named after its inhabitants, the Ahwahnchee. How did this place gain so much attention? You'll soon find out. Yosemite remained relatively isolated until the California gold rush brought miners to the area, disrupting its tranquility. In 1851, the Mariposa Battalion, backed by the state, attempted to remove native people from Yosemite, followed by subsequent U.S. Army expeditions. Although these efforts displaced many tribes, Yosemite was formally established as a national park, enforcing policies that removed all indigenous people from their ancestral lands. Naturalist and conservationist John Muir played a crucial role in Yosemite's history, with his writings about the park's beauty garnering public support for its preservation. Galen Clark, who dedicated over 55 years of his life to Yosemite, significantly longer than both John Muir and James Mason Hutchings combined, played a pivotal role in establishing Yosemite as a national park. Despite his crucial contributions, Clark's achievements are overshadowed by figures like Muir and Ansel Adams, primarily due to differences in publicity and self-promotion. Yosemite's seismic activity. Yosemite has experienced a series of significant earthquakes recently, raising concerns among visitors and officials. In 2024, Yosemite Valley experienced 236 earthquakes with a magnitude of 0.1 or higher on the Richter scale, which is significantly lower than the annual average of 4,979.73 earthquakes in the region. The first quake, a magnitude 4.2, struck on April 14, 2024, near the southern edge of Yosemite Valley. Though strong enough to be felt by people, it did not cause severe damage. The earthquake's epicenter was near the southern edge of Yosemite Valley, a popular area for visitors. People throughout the valley felt the ground shaking and reported hearing a low rumbling sound just before the tremor began, which lasted about 10 to 15 seconds. It was followed by a stronger 4.6 magnitude quake on May 6, 2024, near the park's western boundary. Its epicenter was located near the park's western boundary, close to the entrance at El Capitan, another busy spot in the park. This earthquake was felt more widely across the park than the first one, causing buildings and structures to shake noticeably and items to fall off shelves in stores and visitor centers. The strongest earthquake recorded near Yosemite Valley was a 6.50 magnitude quake. It occurred 4 years ago, 158 kilometers, 98 miles, northeast of the city, at a depth of 2.7 kilometers. However, the third and strongest recent earthquake occurred on May 25, 2024, with a magnitude of 4.8. This quake had the most significant impact with its epicenter near the northeastern part of the park, close to Tuolumne Meadows, a high-altitude area known for its beautiful scenery and hiking trails. The shaking was intense, lasting nearly 30 seconds, and was felt throughout Yosemite, and even in some areas outside the park. People reported feeling like they were on a boat in rough water, with the ground moving beneath their feet. An overview of the latest earthquakes near Yosemite Valley, California, in the United States shows each earthquake event recorded in real time, updated every minute, with the first event ever recorded dating back to 1950. These earthquakes, especially the one on May 25th, have had several noticeable effects on Yosemite's infrastructure and natural features. The immediate impacts included rockfalls and landslides on the park's extensive network of hiking trails and roads. Trails in rugged areas like those near El Capitan and Half Dome saw rocks tumble down, blocking paths and creating hazardous conditions, leading to temporary closures for safety inspections and debris removal. The quakes also caused cracks and minor damage to some of the park roads, particularly near the epicenters, such as the roads leading into Yosemite Valley and around Tuolumne Meadows. Maintenance crews worked quickly to assess and repair the damage to keep roads safe for visitors. Additionally, some visitor centers and lodges experienced minor structural damage, with cracks appearing in walls and foundations, and items falling from shelves, creating a mess that had to be cleaned up. Landslides pose significant risks to the nearly 4 million annual visitors of Yosemite National Park. Between 1857 and 2011, rockfalls and other forms of slope movement in Yosemite resulted in 15 fatalities and at least 85 injuries. Due to the steep valley walls, which are approximately 1 kilometer tall, and the relatively narrow width of the valley, no region within Yosemite Valley is entirely safe from extremely large rockfalls. To assess the risk of rockfalls and other landslides throughout Yosemite National Park, the National Park Service has quantified a risk metric to identify the locations most at risk of landslide hazards. The risk metric was determined by evaluating the likelihood of individuals being struck by falling boulders within hazard zones. The assessment focused on areas in Yosemite Valley where large groups of people gather, such as campsites, lodges, amphitheaters, and other facilities. All structures were assumed to be equally vulnerable to rockfall boulders, as the immense energy of these falling boulders is likely to demolish any structure in their path. What are the strange occurrences recorded at this park? The answers will shock you. Strange occurrences at the park. While camping on a cliffside hundreds of meters high in Yosemite National Park's Tenaya Canyon, legendary climber Ron Koch felt a mysterious force tugging at his sleeping bag. He described it as difficult to explain, comparing it to someone teasing him. Koch noted that it wasn't dramatic, with no lights flashing or flying around, but he recognized that there was something else there. He mentioned that when they were there was something around them, and crazy, unexplainable things happened in that place. Also, Koch, renowned for his climbing exploits, is intimately familiar with Yosemite. The Redwood City native moved to the iconic park at 17, lived at the legendary Camp 4 for decades, and climbed some of Yosemite's toughest walls alongside climbing pioneers. He speculated that Tenaya Canyon might be a repository of the original spirit of Yosemite, the so-called Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite, a challenging trailless section stretching from Tenaya Lake to Yosemite Valley, is notorious for slips, trips, falls, landslides, and deaths. Those brave enough to traverse the 16 km Tenaya Canyon face smooth granite slabs, risky descents, mandatory swims, and precarious ledges. Even John Muir, the father of national parks, once passed out after a fall here. Park officials warn that traveling through the unforgiving terrain of Tenaya Canyon should not be taken lightly. A sign at the canyon entrance ominously states, "Journey beyond this point is dangerous." Christopher Brennan, who climbed Tenaya Canyon in 2000, said that there are many places where one could slip and fall, which would lead to significant trouble. Now 81, Brennan recalled that his crew took 10 hours to complete the journey, which contains many boulder and waterfall climbs with very bare rocky slopes where one must be careful not to slip. The site also witnessed at least one bloody conflict during the Mariposa Indian War, 1850 to 1851. The war followed the arrival of white settlers and decimated the indigenous population in the Yosemite foothills and valley. At its center was Tenaya, the last known leader of the Ahwahnechee Valley indigenous people and the canyon's namesake. Miranda Fengel, author and former curator of the Mariposa Museum and History Center, explained that Tenaya fought to keep his people in Yosemite Valley when the Mariposa Battalion tried to forcibly remove them during the California Gold Rush. It is claimed that Tenaya, reacting to his son's execution, said that they could kill him if they wished. But if they did, his voice would sound at night, calling on the people to avenge him, louder than ever before. Bunnell elaborated that Tenaya said they might kill him, but they would not live in peace. He would follow in their footsteps, not leaving his home, but staying with the spirits among the rocks, waterfalls, rivers, and winds. He would be with them wherever they went, and though they would not see him, they would fear the spirit of the old leader and die. Thus, the legend of the Yosemite Curse. What does this mean for the park's diverse ecosystem? Keep watching to find out. The park's diverse ecosystem. Yosemite spans 747,956 acres, 1,169 square miles, with nearly 95% designated as wilderness. It hosts hundreds of wildlife species and over 1,000 plant species. Recognized as a World Heritage Site in 1984, Yosemite is famed for its granite cliffs, waterfalls, clear streams, giant sequoia groves, and rich biological diversity. The park is also a vital scientific hub for studies in hydrology, geology, glaciology, and other sciences. Two wild and scenic rivers, the Tuolumne and Merced rivers, originate in Yosemite and flow westward to the Central Valley. Yosemite National Park is home to over 400 species of vertebrates, including fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. This high diversity is supported by Yosemite's varied and largely intact habitats. From dense foothill chaparral to expansive alpine rock, the park offers rich environments where animals thrive. Yosemite is home to numerous waterfalls, many of which are fed by snowmelt from the high Sierra Nevada. Yosemite Falls, one of the tallest waterfalls in North America, plunges 2,425 feet from the top of the upper fall to the base of the lower fall. Other notable waterfalls include Bridalveil Fall, Vernal Fall, and Nevada Fall. In addition to its granite and glaciers, Yosemite is famous for its giant sequoia trees, particularly in Mariposa Grove. These ancient trees, some over 3,000 years old, are among the largest living organisms on Earth. They thrive in the park's unique climatic and soil conditions. The impact of tourism. Tourism plays a significant role in Yosemite's importance. Millions of visitors come to the park each year to experience its natural wonders, engaging in activities such as hiking, rock climbing, camping, and photography. Yosemite National Park welcomed 4,009,438 visitors in 2018, who spent $245 billion with local vendors and experienced a general surge that added to the nearby economy, according to another report from NPS. This created 6,184 jobs and had nearly a $624 million impact on the economy. Michael Reynolds, the superintendent of Yosemite, elaborated upon how the park inspires visitors from around the world in all walks of life. He also emphasized the partnership with gateways, stating that national park tourism is a major part of our economic driver and returns $10 for every dollar invested in the National Park Service. In the same year, more than 318 million park visitors spent $20.2 billion in communities within a 60-mile radius of the national parks, and an estimated economic benefit to the U.S. economy was nearly $41 billion. This spending supported 329,000 jobs nationally, with most of these jobs in gateway communities, and yielded a cumulative $40.1 billion to the U.S. economy. Lodging charges were the highest form of visitor spending at $6.8 billion, followed by restaurants and bars with a still staggering $4 billion, and grocery convenience stores. Visitor spending supported over 58,000 jobs in lodging, more than 61,000 jobs in restaurants, over 28,000 jobs in recreation industries, and more than 20,000 jobs in retail nationwide. In 2023, Yosemite National Park saw 3.9 million visitors, marking an increase from the 3.67 million visitors in the previous year. Despite this rise, the 2023 number remained below pre-pandemic levels, when Yosemite welcomed over 4 million visitors annually from 2015 to 2019. The park operates with an annual budget of approximately $30 million, supporting a staff of over 700 National Park Service employees during the summer and more than 450 during the winter. Additionally, around 750 hospitality staff members are working throughout the park in the summer and about 700 during the winter season. Landmarks like Yosemite Falls, Bridalveil Fall, and Yosemite Valley attract nature lovers from around the world. We can infer from this that tourism not only helps people connect with nature, but also supports the local economy through jobs and park fee revenue. What is the government doing about these environmental activities? Let's find out. Response to seismic activities. Yosemite National Park is located in a seismically active region, influenced by the movements of the Pacific and North American tectonic plates. While the park is not as seismically active as the San Francisco Bay Area or Southern California, it has experienced its share of earthquakes. The region's seismic activity is primarily driven by the Sierra Nevada Fault Zone, a series of faults running along the eastern edge of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. These faults are responsible for many of the earthquakes felt in and around Yosemite. One of the most significant historical earthquakes near Yosemite was the Owens Valley earthquake in 1872, which had an estimated magnitude of 7.4 to 7.9. Although the epicenter was about 100 miles away from Yosemite, the quake was strongly felt in the park and caused landslides and rockfalls. In more recent history, smaller earthquakes have occurred within the park, including the 1980 Mammoth Lakes earthquakes, a series of quakes with magnitudes up to 6.3, which were felt in the eastern Sierra Nevada, including Yosemite. Government agencies and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have stepped in to respond to the crisis caused by the earthquakes. Various government bodies, such as the National Park Service and emergency management offices, are working closely with park officials to monitor the situation and provide necessary support. They assist with inspections, repairs, and ensuring that safety protocols are in place. Organizations focused on disaster relief and environmental protection are providing resources and expertise to help manage the impact of earthquakes. They are offering financial assistance, supplies, and volunteers to support both the park and the local community. This support includes funding for repair and maintenance, as well as resources to help local businesses affected by the decrease in tourism. The recent earthquakes might lead to changes in park management policies, with an increased focus on disaster preparedness and response planning. This could involve developing comprehensive plans to address various natural disasters, including earthquakes, fires, and floods. Improving communication with visitors is another important aspect of disaster preparedness. Providing clear information about potential risks, safety measures, and emergency procedures can help visitors stay safe during their visit. This might include more signage in the park, regular updates on the park's website and social media, and educational programs about earthquake safety. Strengthening collaboration with government agencies and NGOs can also ensure a coordinated response to disasters. By working together, these organizations can share resources, expertise, and support to effectively manage and recover from natural events. Investing in research and monitoring is crucial for understanding the park's seismic activity and its effects. This can help park officials anticipate future events and take proactive measures to protect the park. Using technology to monitor geological changes and track wildlife movements can provide valuable data for decision-making. Warnings. After the recent earthquakes, Yosemite National Park officials issued a detailed warning to ensure everyone's safety. The seismic activity in Yosemite is closely monitored by the United States Geological Survey, USGS, and other scientific organizations. This monitoring helps park officials and scientists understand the patterns and potential risks associated with earthquakes in the region. While large earthquakes in Yosemite are relatively rare, the park's geological features and ongoing tectonic activity mean that seismic events will continue to be a part of its natural history. The main points of the warning highlight several critical areas of concern. First, there is an increased risk of rockfalls and landslides due to the earthquakes. This means rocks and debris could fall from cliffs and steep slopes at any time, posing serious dangers to hikers and climbers. To mitigate these risks, visitors are strongly advised to stay on marked trails and avoid venturing into areas that have been closed off by park officials. These closures are in place to protect everyone from potential hazards. The warning also emphasizes the importance of emergency procedures if another earthquake occurs. Visitors should drop to the ground, take cover under sturdy furniture or against an interior wall, and hold on until the shaking stops. After the shaking, they should move to an open area away from buildings, trees, and power lines to avoid further dangers. Additionally, park officials will provide regular updates on the situation, and visitors are encouraged to stay informed by checking the official Yosemite website, social media channels, or contacting park information centers. Carrying emergency supplies such as water, food, first aid kits, and flashlights is also recommended in case visitors need to stay in a safe location for an extended period. Finally, if visitors notice any new cracks, unstable rocks, or other hazards, they should report them to park staff immediately to help ensure everyone's safety. A lot of renovations and closures are in place to protect tourists. Significant priority tasks included maintenance across more than 20 miles of trails in Yosemite Valley and beyond, such as the 4-mile trail, Upper Yosemite Fall Trail, and Mirror Lake Loop. Crews undertook debris removal, repaired split rail fencing, and cleared fallen trees. Notably, one team restored the Snow Creek switchbacks following a rock slide that had damaged 2.7 miles of the trail. The work involved a mix of established and new partnerships. The California Conservation Crew, CCC, and the Yosemite Ancestral Stewards, an initiative led by the park's Resource Management and Science Division, focused on projects like the Tenaya Lake Loop and the ongoing Murphy Creek Rehabilitation Project. This project is slated for completion in 2024, despite a shortened work season due to heavy snowpack. As of June 25, 2024, Yosemite National Park's wilderness presents varying conditions following a moderate winter, contrasting with the epic snowpack of the previous year. Snow persists above 10,000 feet, particularly on north-facing slopes and within forested areas. While south-facing and open areas are largely snow-free, navigation remains challenging in snow-covered sections, often necessitating GPS for route finding. Hikers are advised to carry extra phone batteries due to increased reliance on electronic navigation tools in these conditions. Peak flows from snowmelt occurred in mid-May, filling creeks and waterfalls across the park's higher elevations. Because of this, hikers are encouraged to assess safety as a group and consider turning back if creek crossings appear hazardous. Staying on designated trails is crucial to minimizing environmental impact, even if sections are wet or muddy. Also, officials warn that trails throughout Yosemite may be wet and muddy, with some sections experiencing standing water. It's recommended to stay on the trail rather than creating new paths to avoid long-term damage to the park's fragile ecosystems. Hikers should prepare by bringing multiple pairs of socks to maintain foot health and changing into dry socks upon reaching camp each evening. Fallen logs from previous fires and early season conditions may obstruct trails. Hikers are urged to step over these logs to prevent creating new paths that could harm the park's natural habitats. They also stated that in Yosemite Valley, the upper section of the John Muir Trail, JMT, between Clark Point and Nevada Fall, is now open for hiking. The Merced River Canyon from Little Yosemite Valley to Merced Lake shows minimal flooding. However, hikers should remain cautious near Chilnualna Creek in Wawona, where conditions are wet and the creek is running high. The Buena Vista Loop is muddy with numerous fallen trees, especially on its north and south sides. Elsewhere in the park, the Hetch Hetchy area advises against camping near Lake Vernon due to heightened bear activity. Trails in this region may also be obstructed by fallen trees and dense vegetation, complicating navigation. In the Glacier Point Road area, trails along the south rim of Yosemite Valley are damaged by recent flooding, making them difficult to discern amidst loose rock and debris. In Tuolumne Meadows, melting snow has led to abundant mosquito activity, particularly on trails with high snowpack. The trail from Vogelsang High Sierra Camp to Vogelsang Pass is notably impacted, with alternatives like Emmerich and Fletcher Creeks suggested to bypass challenging conditions. Route finding may also be difficult around Tuolumne Peak's north aspect and the Mono Pass area, which retain patchy snow cover. Various closures are in effect within the park, including the full closure of Tuolumne Meadows Campground for the 2024 season, and restrictions on meadow use to protect sensitive wildlife habitats. What do you think is the ecological and economic impact of these happenings? Keep watching to find out. Ecological and economic impacts. The increased seismic activity in Yosemite is part of the Earth's geological processes, releasing built-up stress in the Earth's crust. The recent quakes may be part of a series of adjustments in the region's crust. the potential risks and dangers posed by further earthquakes are significant. One of the most immediate dangers is the increased risk of rockfalls and landslides. Large rocks and debris can suddenly break loose and fall, especially in areas with cliffs and rocky terrain, posing serious threats to hikers, climbers, and anyone in the vicinity. Further earthquakes can also cause additional damage to buildings, bridges, and other infrastructure within the park. Even small quakes can weaken structures, making them more vulnerable to collapse during subsequent tremors. Trails and roads can become unsafe due to cracks, fallen rocks, and landslides, making it difficult for visitors to move around the park safely and hindering emergency response efforts. Earthquakes can also temporarily alter the flow of waterfalls and rivers, leading to flooding or creating new hazards in areas that are normally safe. Other processes encouraging these activities include climate change. Global climate change is exerting an impact on Yosemite. Greenhouse gas emissions worldwide are trapping heat in the atmosphere, resulting in rapid warming across the western U.S. Scientists predict that average temperatures in the park could increase by 10.3 degrees Fahrenheit from 2000 to 2100. Yosemite National Park experiences a dynamic environment where weather conditions can fluctuate rapidly, especially at higher elevations. In Yosemite Valley, situated at approximately 4,000 feet, temperatures can soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit during summer and drop to lows in the 20s. On average, the valley receives nearly 30 inches of snowfall annually. This phenomenon is already affecting glaciers, snowpack, waterfalls, wildfire patterns, and overall ecosystems within Yosemite. The most critical risk is to personal safety, as the immediate danger during an earthquake comes from falling objects and collapsing structures. After the shaking stops, there can still be hazards from unstable ground, fallen debris, and secondary effects like landslides. Continued seismic activity in Yosemite National Park can have significant ecological consequences. Earthquakes can cause rockfalls and landslides, which can alter the natural landscape. These changes might destroy habitats and disrupt ecosystems. For instance, plants and trees can be uprooted or buried, and watercourses can be redirected, affecting the plants and animals that rely on them. Wildlife in the park might also be threatened by these changes. Animals might lose their homes or have difficulty finding food and water if their environment is altered. Additionally, the noise and vibrations from earthquakes can cause stress to wildlife, leading to changes in behavior or migration patterns. Over time, these impacts could affect the biodiversity and health of the park's ecosystems. The recent earthquakes in Yosemite have caused significant concern among the local community and frequent visitors. Many people who live near the park or visit regularly have shared their thoughts and feelings about the situation. Some locals are worried about their safety and the potential for more earthquakes, while others are concerned about the impact on their businesses and jobs. Frequent visitors are saddened that some parts of the park are now closed or unsafe to visit. Social media has been buzzing with reactions to the earthquakes. People have posted photos and videos of the damage, shared their experiences, and offered support to those affected. The general sentiment on social media is a mix of concern and solidarity, with many people sharing information about safety measures and updates from the park, demonstrating their care for Yosemite and the surrounding community. This has a negative connotation for further economic gains from tourism at the park. The park's reliance on tourism means that frequent seismic activity can lead to decreased visitor numbers, affecting the local economy. Fewer tourists can result in job losses and economic hardship for the community. Moreover, the park itself relies on visitor fees for funding. A decrease in tourism could impact the park's ability to maintain facilities, preserve natural resources, and provide services to visitors. This could create a cycle where reduced funding leads to less maintenance and fewer services, making the park less attractive to visitors. Park authorities are also taking proactive steps to ensure visitor safety. They are continuously monitoring seismic activity and inspecting the park for damage after each quake. Additionally, they are clearing debris, repairing trails and roads, and ensuring that buildings are safe. Emergency response teams are on standby to assist visitors in case of another earthquake. The park is also providing regular updates to keep visitors informed about the situation, using social media, their website, and information centers to share the latest news and safety tips. Despite its beauty, Yosemite also has its challenges. If you found this video informative, Let us know in the comments what other national park mysteries we should explore next. Most importantly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.